Hi, welcome to Dear Art Producer. I am your host, Heather Elder, and today is October 22nd, 2021, and we want to welcome Chrissy Borgatta Liuzzi as our guest today. Chrissy is a senior art producer at Innocean worldwide, where she's responsible for creating all forms of artwork, from print to digital to social media. Over the course of her career, she has worked on staff at agencies as well as freelance, so she has a comprehensive knowledge of current photography, illustration, and multimedia trends and styles. Welcome to the podcast, Chrissy. How are you today?
I'm great. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. I'm so psyched to have you. It's been so long. I mean, let's not even count the pandemic. I feel like that makes it feel like it's even more, like many more years ago. But I feel like it's been a while since we've hosted a party in LA and I've seen you there or saw you at a Merge event or something. So it's nice to hear your voice.
Thank you. It has been a while, right?
It has. And I don't know, you and I started our conversation this morning just talking about here we are at the end of October and it's already really busy out there for all of us. We're feeling like our end of year crush has already started.
It is. My head's already, it's like it's Christmas next week in my head. Like that's how the pressure's on.
Totally. I was on a call yesterday and somebody said to me, I'm just pointing out there's only 40 more working days until the holidays. And I was just like, oh my God, that is just like, I didn't need to hear that. I'm feeling the pressure already. And I'm just like, that's too much.
If anything, it validates the pressure.
Yeah.
It's like
urgency.
because every single day of the calendar, I'm like trying to plan and make arrangements so that everything's on the books in a sense.
Yep. And crew is hard. We keep hearing about these supply chains. And we, in the consumer world, but I feel like in our world too, it's, it's hard to come by crew and it's hard to come by, studio space and talent and, everyone's spread thin.
Yes, I agree.
But we're producers and we get it all done.
Exactly. Exactly.
Well, why don't you tell me a little bit, Chrissy, about how you got your start, how you end up as an art producer at such a unique job. And we all come at it from such different places. What's your background a little bit?
We do. And I am always talking to people that are just starting out in this industry and kind of explain that, it's our careers is evolves and you never know where you're going to end up. When I was in high school, I had a passion for photography, high school girl, and like, I'm going to be a photographer and taking lots of photography classes. And then going to school, I, wasn't necessarily taking lots of photography classes, but then I was thinking, well, maybe I should just be a graphic designer. And I ended up kind of moving around and floating around a lot between Orange Coast College, and I went to a trade school called Platt College and, got the certificate of completion. But my heart was still in photography and I wasn't quite sure where I was going to land with that or what to do. I just feel like I didn't have the guidance. But I ended up getting a position at Entrepreneur Magazine as a photo editor. And it was such a great experience because to me, that first job was my college education. I made all of my contacts with photographers' agents. I worked with budgets. I had to order all the stock photography and get to learn how to secure that. And that time of my life, they were sending us slides and I had to keep track of all these hundreds and hundreds of slides and then return them via FedEx. And it was a great beginning for me. And I was there for close to 10 years. And during that time, someone had said to me, you should be in advertising. You should be an art buyer. And so I started investigating that and ended up at Chiat Day. And as a junior art buyer working for Amy Mormon, and then followed up with Jigisha Bouvarah.
Yep.
And it was a really great time. And that's how I got into the advertising
Well, and that's where I met
portion of it.
you
Yeah.
because Hunter Freeman worked on that iMac
Hmm.
flower campaign when all the first colored iMacs came out.
Yes, I worked on the very first iMac campaign, and
Yeah.
what an introduction to advertising to be involved in such an iconic campaign, you know.
I mean, I
Um,
feel the same way. I go back and I read about how that campaign unfolded, right?
mhm.
And the relationship between Chiat and Apple. And I just
Yep,
think back very fondly to that time, knowing that, we all had a part to play in that. And that was really quite exciting.
it's very exciting, and I'm so happy that I was a part of it.
So appreciative. And I also, just kind of touching on your editorial experience, whenever I talk to photographers who are starting out or thinking about, how to move their career along, editorial is such a great place to learn so much, right? I heard you
I
say you learned so much there. Photographers learn so much there, and because you get your hands on so many different parts of the business.
Well, and I totally agree because and even today, I'm so impressed with editorial photographers because they're walking into a situation that they have no idea what their environment is going to be like because the budgets are so tight and small. And honestly, still kept in touch with the photographers that I worked with at Entrepreneur Magazine, way back in the early 90s. And I'm surprised that the rates haven't really changed. Like, it's shocking to me
Yeah.
that people can have a career off of editorial, budgets. But that's I'm not in that world anymore. But I love the process, and I love that these photographers really are put on the spot and can light it and create great content in such a short amount of time. And you're working with real people. So you've got to, have the personality to relax them,
Hmm.
to make them feel engaged, and try to bring something out of the unknown.
And I think really talented photographers use editorial, they bring such a production level to editorial
Hmm.
that they are also able to use the imagery they create to help promote themselves in the commercial world.
Yeah. Hmm.
And that's pretty amazing. There's many photographers that I've consulted with and that I work with that love editorial for that reason, because someone else is, paying for some of the costs associated with the job.
Right.
And, they may be paying some other costs of their own to add some other production level to it. But it's such a great, for many photographers, it's such a great place for them to express
Start. It's a
themselves.
good start.
Hmm. Yeah. Okay, so tell me what you're known for on your team.
I'm not sure what they would say, but I would like to think I'm a good producer. I think I am, and also I'm here to assist my team. As far as if anybody needs help with the day to day operation, as far as how do you create an estimate, how do you issue a purchase order, working with finance and submitting invoices, and what the process is. I feel good that my team reaches out to me and asks for my support. So I like to think that I'm also there to not only produce the assignments that I'm given, but to really be a supportive team member.
Well, it sounds like you're a hub, right? Like people come to you for ideas of photographers and directors, maybe. They come to you when they need a PO. They come to you, you go to finance. I often say people in our roles are also translators. We have to be able to speak all those different languages.
That's a great way to put it. And yes, they do come to me for assistance, and I'm here to support. My supervisor Barb Sanson, who's
Barb, tell her
great to work
hi.
with, and I'm a good backup for and support.
And tell me what you love about your job.
Well, obviously, being on set, and getting to the point where you get to see everybody come together and actually create the work. there's so much that goes into planning a shoot and pre-production and estimating. And, like you said earlier, we're recommending photographers and directors and working and trying to just work with timing and all of the team that supports the project. And so to actually be on set and see everything come to life is really key for me. And it's always wonderful to actually watch the shoot
I was on a
evolve.
creative call today, and one of the questions we asked was, who was going to be on set? Is this a hybrid shoot, or is everybody on set, or nobody on set? And it ended up being a hybrid shoot, which I think most of our shoots are now. But then the question was, will the creatives and the creatives be there? And the answer was yes. And my photographer's answer was, that's gold. And I
Yeah.
thought, yeah, it is. Like, we've missed that for so long. And we just really need that collaboration on set and that energy on set.
It's really important. I think you're going to ask questions ahead of this as far as, working in this COVID time. And there were earlier times where, we had to do a lot of remote viewing, and we made that work and we made that happen. You just need everybody's attention right away. But I've even in that real sensitive time, we always made sure that the art director was on set, and I was on set as well, helping with remote viewing, so that we have an easy communication between our brand managers and our clients. But yeah, I mean, you have to have an art director there.
It makes all the difference.
It
It
does.
makes all the difference. Okay, so we know what you love about your job. What do you find most challenging about your job?
There a lot of if there's any like last minute requests, it seems like right now, we have these last minute shoots, which is fine. And I'm totally up for the challenge. And at some point, you just have to make sure that you have enough time, even if it's condensed, to make sure that you don't miss anything. You want to, it's like, I want to be really thorough with a production that I'm involved in. And so, at some point, you just got to have some really great communication. So I would just say a lot of timing, making things happen really fast.
I would agree with that. I mean, I feel like that's a really exciting part of our job, right? That we can make anything happen. It's what we touched on at the beginning when we were like, yeah, the end of the year is coming, but we're producers, we'll do it. But at the same time, it's challenging.
It is very challenging.
Because, I said this earlier too, but our supply chain is, a bit broken right now. Finding crew, finding studios, all that stuff is a little bit hard right now, and that end of year pressure, we can't add days to the year. Right. We just can't. So I think the exciting part is that it's happening and it's buzzing and there's energy.
Yes.
But the challenging part is we really do have our, it's not like it's January or March, right? Like where we can push it out a week and okay, like you literally have until the end of the year. So
yes, and I want to present myself in a way that it's like, okay, I'm totally up for this. Let's do it. But it's got to be a lean team, and it's got to be like very structured, and everybody has to follow along so we can actually make it happen.
Yeah,
that's the challenge.
I agree. I definitely agree with that. Okay, so what are your clients asking of you right now in terms of production? Obviously, the pressure's on, but what's on the to-do list between now and the end of the year? And are they hesitating to produce? My guess is they're probably not. It sounds like there's just a lot happening.
Well, all of our shoots are becoming more of an integrated production. So most of our shoots have, we'll be creating a library of still photography. We'll be creating video content for kind of like video vignettes, not full on broadcast productions. And and that those are combined, as well as then there's a social aspect to it. So all of our jobs are now fully integrated productions, and I love it because I get to be a part of something more than just the still package. As far as right now, but between now and the end of the year, yeah, we definitely have some requests that we're trying to make happen, and it's just it's just like, let's see what we can do.
Yeah.
Put a smile on my face, and let's do it.
How do you feel about getting estimates approved right now? Do you feel like, and right now might be kind of a loaded word, right? Because I feel like right now encompasses COVID, it
Yeah.
encompasses end of the year, right? So my experiences right now, I feel like there's a lot of people wanting to bid for a lot of different things.
Hmm.
I'm actually seeing people follow through a little bit more with actual award dates, whereas before they would get pushed, right?
Yeah.
So I'm finding estimates are getting approved a little bit more swifter. That's the
Yes.
thing than they have been in the past. Are you finding that same thing?
Well, that's part of the process going into a project. If you've been given an assignment to create something quickly, then everybody's got to be on the same page. And you need to, I communicate with my entire team, the brand managers and account supervisors, and say, if we're going to make this happen, then we all have to be communicating together, meaning we need to get with our clients and set the expectation that we're going to bid this as cost efficiently as possible, but we need a signature right away in order for this to happen, because there's so many things on the back end that need to be supported, from finance, billing clients and being able to pay advances in order to make the work possible. So estimates are being signed, rather quickly, as long as the communication is there up front.
Yeah, I agree with that for sure. How about budgets? How are your clients, and it doesn't have to be your specific clients right now, but just in general, your experience with the clients sharing budgets and then you sharing them with teams? Are you feeling like it's easier to get that number than it used to be? And are you feeling like they're ample enough, or are everyone's still kind of tightening their belts?
Not, I won't be speaking specifically on any particular client, but in general, I have an idea of what my budget is going to be when I enter the project. The thing that's difficult about budgets is that there's more work that needs to be created within the budget that I've
Yes.
had in the past.
Oh, that's
So
so true,
so
Chrissy.
now we have COVID testing costs. We have COVID protocols that we need to follow, and the sanitation equipment and items that we need to keep our sets safe. And then we also have some video content, and what's included in that. Do we need a Russian arm? What are we shooting in video, and what manner is it going to be? And of course, they've given us some more money in some cases, and in some cases we have less money. So the best thing I can do is estimate this as effectively as possible, and then negotiate and try to make it happen without compromising the creative integrity of whatever it is that we're creating.
Yeah, I mean, that's so important. Okay, so kind of along those lines, do you guys work with, or have you in your career worked with production consultants
That's a great question, and I don't really even know what a production consultant is.
or a cost consultant?
Yes, we
Yes.
do work. We do work with cost control consultants. Yes, absolutely. All of our jobs need to be triple bid. We work with cost control consultants, and they review the costs. And it's at that point, it's deep into the negotiation stage. And like I said previously, I'm here to support both sides. I want the photographer or director to have everything that they need to be able to, make this creative content the best it can be. And then I need to also make it as cost efficient as possible. And so as much as I work side by side with our cost control consultant, I'm also there to protect the creative.
For sure. I sit on the board of the AMA, and we hosted a webinar yesterday with 3 cost consultants, although they now, at least the ones we were talking to, are starting to call themselves production consultants.
Okay.
So I'm not sure if that's your experience or not, but the idea being they are there to, help shepherd the production through the process, part of which that process is the cost process and the estimating process, but also the production. They're finding that people on the brand side, there might be some people on the brand side that need some education and some hand holding along the way in terms of what the process is. So they're there for that. They also have their finger on the pulse of what's happening from a cost point of view in the industry. So they're helpful for that. And they really want to start being seen not as this, red lined slash and burn role, but a real true partner.
Well, without being too dismissive of the role of a production consultant, that's what an art producer is there for. And I feel that, I've been in this business for a long time, and to have another person help produce a job that's outside of the agency, I'm not sitting too well with that. I'm totally happy to be working with a cost control consultant like we do, and work with them and collaborate. But to be there as a production consultant, it's like we've all worked in this business for so long, and I would like to think that I'm there to educate my team. And there's a lot of new young people coming into this business, but I also am here to help my whole team, not just about the photography. So if someone needs guidance on what's happening on a production, I feel that I'm that person that they should be consulting.
Well, I'm going to send you the webinar once we have it up on the website so you can listen to it. I thought it was pretty interesting.
Okay.
And I think these 3 women in particular are so amazing. And I joked a couple times that, like, okay, if I'm going to have a or a production consultant on my job, like, I want you 3 on it, because they were saying all the right things about collaboration and partnership and all of that. So I'll send it to you and you can take a listen to it. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about.
Sorry, I was just like, I'm being very protective of my own role.
You're 100% right. No. You're not saying anything different than some of the questions that Kelly, the AMA president, and I were asking. So it was just really interesting to hear their response. So
yeah.
I think it's one of the reasons they wanted to do the webinar with us.
Yeah.
Because they are trying to, explain what their role is and what their, how they're relevant.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to hearing that.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the selection process. So when it's time for you to choose, get a list together for your creatives, how does that start for you?
Well, I have internal meetings and I review the creative plan, the concepts that are being presented. And then I do like to work closely with the creative teams to see if there's anybody that they have in mind, that's someone that they really want to work with. And if so, then I'll add their names to the mix, but I'll just kind of review the concepts and recommend photographers and directors to the project and say, let's try this. What do you think about this? And then they review those. My recommendations and make selections from there.
How much do you guys use treatments?
I like treatments. I think that they're important, and I think it's a great way for the photographer to present their approach. Because if you're triple bidding, 3 photographers will approach it very differently, and to put their touch and their look and feel on a concept. I find it it's important to also kind of give me an idea of how many days they want to shoot and all the production aspects that are needed in a shoot. So I like treatments. I think treatments are tell a lot about the project and support the creative call that we had, and also to show our clients this our recommendations point of view.
Creating a treatment takes so much time, obviously, right? The design aspect of it, the thought process, and all of it is very important. It used to be that that would get communicated on the creative call. And so you'd be spending an hour or so and maybe a follow up conversation or two. But now all of that energy kind of has to get put into a treatment. And and it takes a long time.
Mm-hmm.
So, what advice do you have for a photographer on how can they condense the information that they need? Like, what's the most important information that they need to be giving you when they can't give you the full blown treatment because they're on a shoot or they're on an airplane or the timing's really tight? So, what's most important for them to be able to give you?
Well, first of all, in the way that part of my process is that we do have a creative call, and we have a creative call so that our art directors and photographer, and as well as myself, can understand what they're trying to achieve. And realistically, the treatment is to share with our clients. So, and that's why they're important, because we want to be able to highlight the photographer's point of view to our client and show the best work and show the best approach. I know it takes time. It doesn't have to be 12 pages long. It can be the premise of, this is our vision of how we're going to approach these concepts, or this is the story that we're going to tell, and these are the areas in which we would like to try to shoot in Northern California, or we want to shoot in Boston, or whatever. It's just to kind of present the photographer's point of view and a general approach.
Yeah, I think that's really helpful. There are times where we do treatments and they're super long because it's really complicated and we're putting there's a lot involved in figuring out how to do the shoot. And there are other times where, like, as I said, there just isn't the time to go that deep and we have to kind of figure out what the top line thing is. And a lot of times too, we're including summaries in our bids. I mean, not our bids, in our treatments, because it's great to hear you say that you share them with the client, but some people don't share all the treatment with the client. So it's nice. We've determined to have a summary page so that we know that if they're going to pull one or two things out, maybe they'll pull that out, and the most important parts of our treatment are being shared.
I think it's helpful to represent the photographer's look and feel. So if you can speak to the project in the early stage of the treatment, like a summary page, and then show relevant work that's going to work well with the concept or the area, I think that's probably enough.
I agree.
Because treatments can get very detailed and they can be very long. I just think it's nice to be able to present some reflection of the photographer's point of view to our client when we're about to ask for, a good chunk of money, and we want to represent the artist well.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, so Chrissy, let's talk a little bit about how photographers and directors can connect with you right now, and even reps too. What's the most effective way to stay in touch with you? How can people get new work in front of you? What's happening at your agency?
Well, we're all working remotely still, which I am so grateful for, that we've been able to create workspace in our own space, and I've really enjoyed it and appreciated it. So we're not holding traditional portfolio shows anymore, and I'm sure eventually it'll get back to that. I definitely miss that communal space where we can all gather and talk about people's work and socialize. But right now, people are just rocking it old school. They email me, they call me. I do participate in a lot of portfolio reviews, like with, Palm Springs Photo Festival and Ad
Mhm.
Edge and Photo New York. And I'm doing one for APA LA tomorrow. So I am trying to contribute my time that way. But email and phone calls are still, working great. And I follow a lot of photographers and try to keep tabs on what they're doing. So it's just a matter of picking up the phone and calling me or sending me an email.
And when a rep or photographer reaches out to you, maybe to request an appointment or do a Zoom portfolio show,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Zoom fatigue is real, right? So
Yeah.
do you discourage that kind of stuff right now?
I just try to space it out. I haven't had a ton of remote viewing portfolio shows. I think going back to everybody's so busy, but I've had photographers reach out to me and say, "Hey, do you have, a half an hour or even 20 minutes and I can show you my new work and let's have a call." And I'm happy to promote those photographers within the groups that I work with, either my team. I belong to groups online, and people say, "Hey, I'm looking for a great portrait photographer. Who do you recommend?" So if we're not having a full show, if they can get the time with me, I try to promote everybody, and I like seeing what everybody's doing.
Yeah, yeah, and you're not alone. I mean, it's the same out there for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
And I love you've always been so good with your time and generous with your time to meet with people through those events, but also on your own.
Mm-hmm.
So I just, on behalf of our industry, I want to say thank you for that.
Oh,
'Cause I
you're
always
welcome.
hear
I'm
nothing
happy to,
but
and
good things.
I enjoy it. Yeah, it's a weird time still, but I'm just trying to do the best I can. And if I don't get back to someone, it's not like, oh, I do look at the content. I do look at the emails, and if it is addressed specifically to me, I'll definitely try to reply. Sometimes you can just tell this is a kind of an email blast,
Right.
and it's like I've seen the work. And I don't know if on your end as an agent, if you like look at the metadata to see who's reviewed, who's seen it, who's clicked on the website type of thing. But I always try to at least look at the website and see what's happening, or review the email.
So my son's applying to colleges right now, and there are some colleges that look at demonstrated interest, which is basically, make sure when you get an email from them, you click on the links because they're looking to see if you've clicked on the links.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, I think, any good rep is going to look at that back end stuff and see. But
Mm-hmm.
what we're looking for are more trends. I want to look at my last 5 email blasts and be like, oh, Chrissy has been opening up Joe Smith's email blasts consistently. Right. That's pretty awesome. We should make sure to try and do something personal for her.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to call you and be like, hey, I saw you've been looking at Joe Smith's emails. That would be freaky and weird. But I do recognize I want to, maybe make something more personal for you to pay attention, let us know that, for us to let you know that we've been paying attention. So.
And if there's someone that I really like or someone that I want to remember, I often, start following them on Instagram, or, I do look at their social media, and I don't know if that's part of the things that you can view, but that's partly why sometimes if I am busy, it's like I open the email, I review the email, because part of me thinks, well, I'm sure they're checking to see that I've seen it.
Oh, you're so great. I remember doing a community table with you, with Kate Chase. And
Kate.
I know, she's so sweet.
God bless her.
When she enters into my world, she's in my mind all the time, but
Yeah.
she often enters into my world during the day. And it's a gift. But I remember sitting at this community table with you, and it was all about email blasts because people were starting to get really frustrated with them and their inbox. They were just inundated with them. And it was kind of we were hoping to come up with the best practices for the industry afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember Kate was asking you this very question, and you said, I do look at Instagram, and for me, the email blast is the tip of the iceberg. And then if I like what I see, I'll go to the website, and then I'll go to their Instagram, and then I'll bookmark their site. And it was really insightful, because I often use that quote, this idea of it being the tip of the iceberg. And that as a photographer, you not only have to have your tip of your iceberg right, you've got to get everything else together and consistent with your message and your vision, because someone like you, Chrissy, is going to start there and start digging.
Yeah.
Where they're going to end up.
That's still true today, for sure. I definitely, if someone piques my interest, I will go in and look at their website beyond the agent's website, or I will look at, their social media and just kind of, just research them. I do that.
That's awesome. Well, this has been fabulous.
Thank you.
I have 2 questions that I always ask my guests. And after 80 something episodes, or maybe almost 80 episodes, I can't stop now. So let me ask you these last 2 questions. The first one is, what is your favorite thing to do on a Sunday? And the second one is, if you weren't an art producer, is there something that you would want to do?
Sundays, I like to get some exercise in on the weekends, for sure. I've definitely bumped up my exercise plan since COVID, which I'm grateful for, because I just think our personal health is really important. We need to be strong to fight COVID. So I have this great 12-mile bike ride that I love. I'll do that on a Sunday. Or I have a friend that we do, a good walk on the beach, followed by a lunch. And so I usually incorporate some exercise on my weekends during the days or the mornings, and then spend the rest of the day, just getting ready for the week.
Oh, that's great. Okay. So what would you do if you weren't producing? What would you do?
I honestly have no idea, because it's in my blood. I've always had this strange fantasy of owning a string of parking lots. I always whenever we're on set and we're, in a parking lot, I'm like, you know what? This looks like a pretty good gig.
Oh my God. Okay. Not for the podcast, but next time we see each other, and hopefully it's sooner than later, let's remember, I need to tell you this hysterical story about a parking lot owner that I met one day.
Okay.
It is a very, very funny story, and you might not want to be a parking lot owner.
Yeah, I'm sure. But it's just I have no idea what I'm going to do. I have no idea what I would do. Honestly. I mean, I've been doing this for so long, and I love it. And I have no other thing. I guess I would do maybe some consulting, do more of what I do, but maybe freelance.
You love what you do.
Yeah, I really do. I'm very lucky to have had the career that I have. And it's amazing that I'm kind of at this place where now I can start teaching and helping people start their career and guide them a little bit.
That feels good.
Yeah.
Well, this has been amazing. I love reconnecting with you. It's been too long.
Thank you, Heather.
Much. Absolutely. Have a wonderful weekend.
Thank you.
And we'll talk soon.
Yes, I appreciate your time. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.